You know, we're all swimming in this ocean of information. Numbers, stats, you name it. And let's be honest, it can feel like total chaos. But what if you could turn that chaos into clarity? Well, today, we're going to look at the simple, powerful tools that do exactly that. Let's dive right in. Okay, take a look at this. These are test scores for 30 students. I mean, it's just a wall of numbers, right? If I asked you to quickly tell me the most common score, you'd have to squint, count, and you'd probably lose your spot a few times. This is what we call raw data. Exactly. What story is this mess of numbers even trying to tell us? Right now, it's not telling us much of anything. It's just noise. And to get to the good stuff, the actual insight, we first need to understand what we're even looking at. At its heart, this is what data is. But here's the part that really matters, with a definite object in view. See, we didn't collect these scores just for fun. We collected them to understand how the students are performing. And to do that, we need to bring some serious order to this chaos. So how do we actually do that? Thankfully, we don't have to just stare at that messy list and hope for the best. There are some simple, really powerful methods we can use to start organizing this information and, find the patterns hiding inside. The very first step, it's almost laughably simple, but it works. We take that raw, jumbled data and we just put it in order, from smallest to largest. This is called creating an array. All of a sudden, you can instantly see the lowest score and the highest score. It's not perfect, but wow, it's a huge improvement already. But to take it a step further, we can follow this really clear path. We start with our raw data, we arrange it into that nice ordered array, and then we do something absolutely crucial. We tally the occurrences. We just count how many times each number shows up. And that count, that leads us to our final, much more powerful tool. And voila! This is what you get, a frequency distribution table. Just look how clean that is. You can see the exact temperature on the left, and on the right, the frequency, which is exactly how many days that temperature was recorded. All that messy data is now perfectly organized and easy to read. The real key here is frequency, which, let's be real, is just a fancy word for how many. It's the number that tells you how often something happens. And it's the engine that makes these tables so incredibly useful for spotting patterns. Now, a frequency table is great for our 30 test scores. But what if we had, say, 400 students with scores from 1 to 100? That table would be massive. For larger, more spread out data, we need to level up. We need to group the data together. And we do that using something called class intervals. So instead of counting every single score, we group them into buckets. Looking at this example, you can see right away that 5 students scored somewhere between 10 and 20 marks, and 10 students scored between 20 and 30. This summarizes a huge amount of info into a much more manageable format. Okay, so organizing data into tables is a massive leap forward. But to truly understand the story at a single glance, we need to engage the most powerful pattern recognition machine on the planet, our own eyes. It's time to turn these numbers into a picture. Just look at this for a second. The difference is incredible, right? On the left, you've got a table. You have to read the name, read the speed, compare the numbers in your head. But on the right, the bar graph, bam! You know instantly the train is the fastest. Your brain doesn't have to read and process, it just sees it. It's an instant insight. And this quote just nails it. Our brains are literally wired for visual information. A good chart doesn't just show you data, it tells you a story that sticks with you way better than a list of numbers ever could. It's the difference between hearing a fact and actually seeing the proof. But here's the thing, not all charts are created equal. Just like a builder uses different tools for different jobs, we need to pick the right chart to tell the right story. So let's look at a few of the most common and powerful ones in our toolkit. First up, the absolute workhorse of data visualization, the bar graph. Its main job is one thing, comparison. How do sales in store A compare to store B? Which car is fastest? If your question is basically, which one is more or less, a bar graph is almost always your best friend. So what if you want to add another layer to that comparison? That's where the double bar graph comes in. It's a fantastic tool that lets you compare 2 different sets of data across the same exact categories, right next to each other. Okay, check this out. In this chart for each class, you can instantly compare the number of boys in the light blue to the number of girls in the dark blue. Your eyes just scan across and you can see where girls outnumber boys, like in Class V, and where the numbers are almost the same, like in Class 5. It's a really powerful way to do a direct side-by-side comparison. But what if you're not comparing different items, but you're looking at how a single whole thing is broken down into pieces? For that, we turn to the pie chart. Its job is all about showing proportions. What percentage of the total does each piece make up? Take a look here. The entire circle, the whole pie, represents all 480 players. And each slice shows you the fraction of those players who like a certain game. You can see immediately that game B is the most popular. It's got the biggest piece of the pie, while game D is the least popular. It's perfect for understanding the big picture at a glance. So let's step back for a second. We've gone on this whole journey from a chaotic mess of numbers to clean tables and, finally, to insightful pictures. You now have a foundational toolkit for turning that raw data into real knowledge. So let's just quickly recap the key ideas. We start with the chaos of raw data. We bring order with frequency tables. Then we tell a story with visuals. We use bar graphs to compare different things, double bar graphs for those side-by-side comparisons, and pie charts to show parts of a whole. Simple as that. We've really just scratched the surface today, but these basic tools are incredibly powerful. So the next time you see a spreadsheet or a news report filled with stats, remember what you've learned. You've got the toolkit now. The only question is, what stories will you find?